Okay, you see it? I got it. Okay, so I'm just waiting for everyone else to come in and then I'm going to get started. I'm not sure how to pause this or if there is a way, in fact, to pause it, but let's see. I'm waiting on them to come in. I was scheduled to start talking at 9:30. I'm 1 hour late because of the nature of what is being discussed. It's extremely painful. So to try to pack all of it down so that you can confirm to a schedule, it's very difficult to do. Yeah. Let me just wait on them to come in and then I'll get started. I'm Marsha Richards, and the Richards family are about to join me. I'm waiting on them. Let me make sure they can find me. I don't see you. I don't understand why it's not allowing me to.
It's echoing so.
Hi, ladies.
Hello.
Yeah, there's a feedback loop going on. Yeah. Okay, we can get started. Thank you, ladies, for joining me. Um, my name is Marsha Richards. Can y'all hear me? Can y'all say something? Let me see if I can hear y'all well.
Hello.
Yes, I can hear you, Tisha. Um, okay. Yes, my name is Marsha Richards. These are my beautiful sisters on the right side of the screen, and pretty much the entire family is um, on this live broadcast, the first of many. Hopefully not. Hopefully we get justice and we do not have to make this our new normal. And if we do decide to all go live together, it should be under different circumstances. But at the moment, we are being victimized and mistreated horribly. In fact, for over the past 2 decades, that has been our reality. And we have been struggling to get the word out about what's going on. So we're going to unpack uh, some of the issues that we have been experiencing over the 2 decades. I have been the main target of the US government. That is the culprit, the mastermind behind what has been happening to us. So you might find that I am the one that is most outspoken, and I have more examples, um, but I have witnesses that observed a lot of what I went through, and some of it they went through themselves. Um, I'm not sure how long we're going to be talking tonight, but as I said in the beginning, um, these issues that I am going to unpack in front of this camera are very painful. I didn't, I'm not addressing some scholarly article that I read somewhere or trying to give a synopsis of some movie that I watch. I'm talking about my life. And because of that, I may get emotional at times. I will try not to. But I've been subjected to some of the most heinous, unbelievable war crimes and human rights violations over the past 2 decades by the US government. So, and I've not received a day of counseling. I've never been afforded an explanation as to why I'm being pulverized psychologically, economically, socially, in every capacity, any adverb you want to add. My story is so unique that one needs people with enough, I suppose, uh, I guess, the fortitude so that what I'm trying to say, I'm trying to find a word to explain what I mean. The story is so extreme and outside of the norm of what people believe the US government is about, that you need others to corroborate what you're saying, people with enough, uh, I guess, clout, for lack of a better word, substantiate what you're saying so that they understand this is not just some person who has nothing better to do or is otherwise psychologically challenged. I have 2 degrees and I'm working on the third. All of my sisters are college educated. So my mother is an ordained reverend and is also college educated. We are completely normal people of mind, and it doesn't matter how outrageous our stories sound. It's all true and can be easily verified if we're just given a chance. Because it's a type of situation whereby we do not have a forum to address what's happening to us, and we're not being afforded an explanation that we have decided to resort to going live with our struggles. But I've said a lot. I'm going to pray quickly before I go further. Um, Father, we come before you this night. We thank you for your grace, which is sufficient, for your mercy, and for your love. We thank you, God, for sustaining us in spite of these people's efforts to harm us. We thank you, God, that you continue to keep us individually and collectively. Continue to have mercy upon us, God. Give us the right words, the right examples, so that we can explain ourselves well and people can understand that our situation is urgent and that we need assistance. Protect us, God, even now. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay, before I even go any further, you guys, ladies, y'all want to say something? Oh, and that's my mom on the bottom part of the screen. That's Reverend Richards, Dr. Richards in the making. Does anyone want to say something so far? Okay, so the issue that I'm dealing with right now is the US government
Mom is gonna,
hiding. Huh? Mom wants to say something.
yeah. So,
Okay, go ahead, Mom.
um,
There's a slight echo. Yeah, there's an echo.
Yeah, my name is Bridget Richards. I'm Marsha's mom, and we're here, and we would like for our story to be public. We're tired. We've been bombarded. We've been, the situation is just terrible, and just talking about it is, I start to get emotional. Um, Marsha's been talking for a very long time, for years, and I know a lot of people heard. And sometimes people might want to say that, this story does not sound like it's an authentic story, but every single word that she says is the truth. We are Christians and we have no reason to lie. A lot of advantage is being taken upon us, especially Marsha.
yeah.
That's all I want to say for now.
And I'll add to that. I think a lot of the times, when people hear something that they don't have context for or it's unfamiliar, it might seem outlandish. You know, the first human response is to say, "Well, it can't be true," or "Is something wrong with that person?" But I would, I would tell people, the government, the people who are running the world are just people. And people have the capability to be very evil. We know that because we see that every day in the world. And also, we share the world with 7 point something billion people. What may be your reality and your experience, just because you haven't experienced what someone else has experienced, doesn't mean that it's not true. And then I would even go as far to say, if you know the history of the country that we live in, it wouldn't be too far fetched to imagine that some of the things that we are going to describe tonight and over a period of time, that it would be possible if you know the history of how this country came about. Um, it would make you probably want to listen in to what we have to say, because it opens the door for possibility. Even if you don't full blown believe, I would argue, because people are human, because history tends to repeat itself, um, and we've seen how evil regular people can be in history, to listen, even if you don't understand, even if it sounds unfamiliar, even if you don't have context for it. Open your mind to the possibility, because of what history has shown, and because we know how evil people can be, that what we're saying has some level of merit. And I mean, if one of us was crazy, let's say one of us is crazy, we can't be an entire family of crazy people. There has to be some one of us that would be able to say, no, something's wrong. The things that we're seeing are real. We're all people, sound minded. Marcia said, college educated people, ambitious people, God fearing people. We have no reason to lie, no reason to make this up, and nothing to gain from making it up. It's uncomfortable. It's not the kind of thing that you want to be known for. It's not something that you would want to talk about. Um, but yet we're here. So there has to be a reason, a legitimate reason for us putting ourselves out here like this. So yeah, that's all I want to say. I didn't even introduce myself. My name is Nishandra Richards, by the way. So, yeah, Marsha, I'm giving the floor back to you.
You know, I wanted to
That's
say
Miss
one.
Nassan. Um, um,
Ma
uh,
wants to
it's very, it's, it's very hard for me. I seldom get emotional, and it's hard. It's really hard because, as Nasandra said, people need to understand that this government is a body of people. That's all. But it seems that people have this misconception that because they are the government, that their sovereignty should not be questioned. If they accuse someone, the person must be guilty, and whatever decision they make, it should not be questioned. People completely forget that they're just people. And what's happening to us has been happening in secret. Democracy dies in secret. Um, I'm trying to pull myself together. I'm just really emotional tonight. But Latoya, you wanted to say something?
I just wanted to say, 1 second. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to say that to piggyback off of what you said, what Mom said, what Sandra said, that this story is very real. The story is very real, and to be 26 and remembering being a child and seeing the side effects of this whole entire thing happening and now being an adult, it's mind-blowing to know that there are people that could be this persistent to make people unhappy. There really
Something
are. I
that
don't
I would
know
add.
no other words really to say other than that. Like, there is literally people who are actively trying to keep us unhappy. No matter what we do, no matter how
Exactly.
we try to ignore this one elephant in the room, every time we do something, we always circle right back to the problem.
yeah.
It's something we have not been able to get away from. And people shouldn't have to live like this.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like we're criminals. It's not like we're people that go out and steal and
Exactly.
kill. We are
Yeah,
regular
I was going to
human
touch
beings,
on that, the
law-abiding
criminal part.
citizens that are trying to live our lives according to how regular human beings try to live their life every single day. This shouldn't be something that happens to anyone, much less people that really try to live their lives and stay within their quarters. It doesn't make any sense. Mm-hmm. And there isn't any explanation as to why these things happen. So for me, as much as I know that I try to live my life or I try to support us as a family, there's always this one problem. Yeah. No matter what we try to do, it's always there. If we try to leave and go, on vacation, it's right there. If we go to take a walk out on the street, it's right there. It don't matter where we go or what we do. It is right there, slap dab in the middle. So it's a hard thing to talk about. It's a hard thing to come to grips with. But it's very much so real. It is very much so real.
I want to actually add something to.
Yeah.
I want to add something to what Natoya said, and it's just to give context to someone who might have a hard time believe in it. First, I want to say that when Natoya says no matter where we go, it's always there, it's in a very literal sense. You put in an application for a program or a job, or and these are things that normal people experience, like you don't get the job, but then there's specific things that would happen in that process that just don't make sense, that makes it, and it happens over and over and over and over again, no matter what organization you go to, no matter what business or corporation. So you're seeing the same exact patterns with different faces and different names for places, and it becomes evident, okay, no, this is starting to look deliberate, and it's across our family, not just with one person. So it's like, okay, well, this is deliberate. So that's an example to give context about what she means when she says, it everywhere you go, there it is. It just seems like there's no opportunity for progression because someone or some persons with an S are being very deliberate to make sure that there is no opportunity for progression. And what I would also say for people who tend to be skeptical, 3 years ago, last month, I went to Germany, Dachau, Germany, on a scholarship for school. And I went to the first concentration camp in the world. And it was easily one of the worst days of my life. Because for the first time, and like we said, we're Christians, for the first time you come to terms and to grips with the scripture in the Bible that says the heart of mankind is desperately wicked. And there's this part of you that wants to say to yourself, these people are monsters. They couldn't be human. How could you be as human as I am and do this kind of thing? And I find that my family's life is the same way. My family's life has the same kind of like, how could you be human and do the kind of things that you're doing? You must be a monster, because this is inhumane, as people like to say. Like, when something seems too dramatic or too far-fetched for our human comprehension, we say it's inhumane, except we forget that, one, the Bible tells us the heart of mankind is desperately wicked, and there's a popular quote that says all monsters are human. I had to come to terms when I walked through that concentration camp and saw the crematorium and heard stories and saw pictures of actual people who lived there and saw their uniforms, and came face to face with the fact that I was walking through an actual burial ground where people spent the last of their lives and they threw their bodies in piles. This was human beings. The devil didn't come on earth and do this. And just in the same, and I'll also say that Dachau concentration camp is surrounded by houses. And at the time, it was surrounded by houses. The people in the community knew what was going on. And when the US and England came in, they made them bury the bodies of the people, because it was punishment for seeing this happen and not stepping in to do anything. But I would just like to remind everybody, because we are all familiar with the Holocaust, that these were human beings watching and participating, because the heart of mankind is desperately wicked. So before you try to shut down our story and think it's impossible what you're saying, who would do that? Why would they do that? No one would be that evil. No one would be that idle. No one would. Think about the fact that our history, American history, and the history of the world showcases how evil people can be for one reason or the next. And when you go to listen to our story, think of it from that context first, and then come in and listen. Then come in with that in mind and listen to our story. And I'm gonna give back the floor to you, Marsh.
Okay.
Our mommy.
I want to say this thing based on the things Toya was talking about jobs.
I'm usually more composed, but I'm having a rough time.
Huh?
I said I'm usually more composed. Let's see.
Okay.
I seldom ever cry, but I'm having a rough time.
You gotta tell her that you want to say something.
Mommy wants to say something.
Someone talk about jobs or going for job or something.
Yeah, it was me.
I remember Marsha went for a job, and this is bizarre. And they told her that And what they found in their computers that she committed a felony. So when she questioned the lady, she said, I committed a felony. She said, yes, you committed a felony. And the lady gave her the date when she committed the felony. And the date was Marsha's birthday. Now, I have kids that were born in America, but Marsha was born in Guyana. She came to America when she was a little girl. How?
Not the birthday. The birth date. May 3rd, 19 what? 77.
Said she committed the felony. That's what
on the day she was born.
That was in their computer. That this person we cannot employ you because you have a felony against your name, and you committed the felony
on the day you were born.
On the day when you were born.
In another country. She was born in another country, so it doesn't make sense.
She said, "Okay, oh, that could have been me. That's the day I was born, and I was not born in America." She said, "Well, we can't help you because that's in our computer." No,
right. That was the direct message.
The baby can teleport, apparently.
No, you tell me, what is that? So they couldn't give her the job.
Yeah,
that's one instance.
One instance out of thousands. Yeah. But I mean, that one is cut and dry. There's no room for argument or debate about the level of foolery that went into doing something like that. But it's one example, and one very clear example. And before you try to argue that perhaps maybe there's, something inside of the system that's incorrect. I mean,
or mistaken identity. Some people say mistaken identity. But if 15 years ago, mistaken identity, whoever is doing these wickedness to us, wouldn't they not see that?
Right.
Come on, these people are clean?
Because
not a mistake.
Right. None of us have ever committed or been convicted or charged with any crimes. So
that is a key point to note. None of us have any criminal records.
Right.
It started in the late 90s, before 9/11. So in case somebody wants to say, well, maybe you have a bunch of criminals and thugs in your family. I know we're at minute number 27 in recording. That should have been emphasized in the beginning. None of us have any criminal records or criminal inclination. As I stated, we're all college-educated individuals, dignified members of the community. The government barged in our lives in the late 90s, and they have not left since. In the process, they've committed millions of war crimes and human rights violations. I'm talking about eugenics, poisonings, medical experimentation, economic quote-unquote embargo, for a better way of expressing the economic pauperization of our underemployment, unemployment, taking away our jobs, determining the price of our bills. I actually have 2 decades worth of stories. They're in the hundreds of thousands. So for us to sum it up we've been talking now for 28 minutes. It's hard. And I'm usually more composed, as I said, but I'm really emotional right now. The U.S. government needs to be brought to trial, not by the U.S. criminal justice system, because they've demonstrated that they cannot deal fairly. I've applied for a sentence to every administration since Bill Clinton, and yet the situation persists.
Marsha, I'm sorry. Why don't you explain to them why you believe it's the U.S. government in the first place, so they can have some context on that?
Okay. Well, for starters, I live in Maryland, and everyone else that you see, everybody else in my family lives in New York. I left New York 250 miles away.
Yeah.
And the U.S. government is not volunteering the information that it is in fact them. But when you see the reach and the access, the complete full spectrum dominance, the amount of power and clout and finance it would take to operate for 2 decades over somebody's life. We're talking about millions of dollars where they have complete saturation of our finances, of our employment, of our bills, of our attendance at church, you name it. There is no area of our lives that they're not present in. And for anybody who's skeptical, please understand we have thousands, tens of thousands of documentaries that we have been keeping over these decades that they're trying desperately to get their hands on. They've deleted several terabyte data um, from crashing our laptops, stealing stuff right off the phone, anything that will show clearly that there's no way a civilian can have this kind of access. They try to get their hands on it and destroy it. I filed a lawsuit back in 2005 that didn't go anywhere. I filed Freedom of Information Act lawyers until I'm fed up. I've written to the president, every administration since Bill Clinton, including the Bill Clinton administration, doesn't go anywhere. I've written to the UN, the International Criminal Court, Congress, senators, the NAACP, the ACLU, you name it, the Rainbow Coalition, the UN, you name it. The US government has decided, as far as I'm concerned, longitudinal study, and they have free research access to every aspect of our lives with no checks and balance. They can do as they please, medical experimentation, whatever. They can study us like microbes in a lab for the past 2 decades because there's no rhyme or reason for their presence. They should have never shown up in the first place and certainly should not have remained for 2 decades. When I tell you they've taken over 20 jobs from me, I was not fired, my jobs were taken. They have all but ruined our lives, blacklisted our names. We can't make progress. They're like a wet blanket of cancer, sabotaging everything that we try to do. The only thing that comes close to what we're going through is what gang stalking victims are going through. The only explanation is that the federal government is behind this because no civilian is going to just pick a random family and pursue them for 2 decades without explanation. There is no legal justification because none of us are criminally inclined. None of us have any criminal records. We are God fearing people living honestly. And then all of a sudden, madness in our lives in the late 90s. We're not
And I'm
terrorists. We're not spying. We're not spies. There's no legal justification. I remember instances where, for when this first started, I was telling my family something is not right. And it took all of 10 years before they finally start seeing, wait a minute, something is really going on, because it seems as though I was the chief target for their gang stalking program or experimentation, whatever you want to call it. They were doing it to everyone in the family, but for some reason, just for additional torment, they wanted me alone to be aware of it and keep everyone else in the dark. But some examples that I'm about to give you is what made everybody started realizing that something is up. One instance is we were all sitting in the living room one afternoon, probably around 5 p.m. in the summer, just sitting around. And these two white men opened our door and came in the living room.
I actually remember that. I couldn't.
Now, this is an all black neighborhood. There are no Caucasians anywhere. We don't know any white people. We didn't give anyone our keys, but yet there's two white men in our living room right now. So everyone screaming, people start, we all start hollering and saying, what is going on? What did they come for? Did they come to kill us? How did they get our keys? We don't know what happened, but we made so much noise and ruckus. They left. They ran out of the apartment, and two of us chased behind them and took down the tags on the vehicle. It was one of those white construction vans. Independent of each other, we came up with the same tags.
But
We
hold on one
called
second,
the
Martha.
police
I want to
department.
say this. I want y'all to hear that she just said that two white men in a black neighborhood opened their door. Before you want to say someone was trying to break in, they had a key. The
Yes.
landlords were
Exactly.
not white. We were in a black neighborhood in a condominium owned by black people. It's a two-family condominium, and they opened the door with a key. All right, just needs to clarify.
I believe they came with an agenda, but we just made so much noise. I don't think it went the way they pictured it and they panicked and left. I have my opinions of what they were supposed to do, but we believe in God. So they panicked and they ran out of the apartment. And independent of each other, two persons took down the tags, and we called the precinct, the 113 precinct, and said, hey, these two men just came into our home and in broad daylight and left. Can you please send the police out here to track them down, whatever? And of course, they had the police say, the tags don't match any tags in the area or anywhere in existence. We don't know what you're talking about, and we're not. They never came. They didn't even come out to file a police report. Now, we told you that two random men came into our homes and sped off, didn't identify themselves or nothing, and you're gonna say we're not coming out to take a report. We don't know what you're talking about, and that's it. That's all. That right there is very strange. At the bare minimum, they should have came out and took a description, uh, let us file a police report or something. Another bizarre instance was one day, my mom and I, we went somewhere and we came back. I think it was to the supermarket. We came back, we parked the car right next to the house. And this home was situated in such a way where the sidewalk is really close to the window. This is the kitchen window. The car is literally right there because it's New York. The curb is very close to the building. So, I mean, the car is literally right there, a stone's throw away. Do you know? We looked out the window at some point after we came home and discovered that the car is gone. So everyone starts to panic. Went outside, there's no car. So we decided to call 911. Said someone stole our vehicle. Y'all need to come out and take a police report. They said they're not coming. They will not come out to take a police report. They don't want no parts of it. They never showed up. Once again, they wouldn't do a police report. In hindsight, I'm going to state what I think really happened there with them not taking a report, but it should be a little bit obvious where this is going. Why would you not come out to document the fact that our vehicle got stolen right off the block? You wouldn't come out to document the two men that came into our home in broad daylight. And this is in the 90s. I'm talking about the late 90s. This happened in 1990. This is how long we've been suffering in silence and reaching out to every branch of government. All kind of bizarre stuff has been happening to us, and we don't have no outlet or opportunity for redress. Somebody's echoing.
Um,
Yeah, someone is
bring
echoing.
Sandra back into the chat, or the video rather.
Yeah,
Okay.
someone is echoing. Yes. So the car got stolen right off the block in broad daylight. Now, these people are very brazen. In broad daylight, they stole our vehicle, and they know that the car is parked right next to the kitchen window. We were on the first floor. That's very important. We're not on the third floor. We're on the first floor. So we're eye level with vehicle. Eye level. And the car is gone. So we called the cops. They refused to come out. We're calling everybody we know. Somebody stole our vehicle. We don't know what to do. The police refused to take a report. And everyone is just running around trying to figure out what is happening to us. First, we had two white men come in our house, and now our car is gone. And that was our only vehicle because we were not wealthy. That was our only car. We had just come to the US under 10 years. So Some time passed, probably about an hour or so. We come back into the house and pretty much no one knows what else to do. Somebody happened to look outside and the vehicle is back. They brought the car back. Now, this was witnessed by every single person in the house. They
How do
didn't
you
park it
explain that?
exactly. They didn't park it exactly a little bit
She,
off out of direct um line of vision. So um
she was driving.
we
She
all
did.
went outside. Now we're trying to decide who is going to drive the car and bring it back to being in line with the kitchen window. And I remember distinctly us having a debate because my mom wants to drive the car, and I'm insisting under no circumstance are you going in that car. It's they're targeting me. I'm gonna drive the car. And she said, no, I have lived my life. What if the car blows up? I'm driving it. And we were arguing, and I was getting very angry with her. I said, no, I can't remember which one of us ended up driving the car. I think it was me. But how do you explain that?
How do you explain that? There is no
Yes,
explanation
true.
for
That's
that.
so true.
And then the another thing about it, and I don't need to jump in like this, but a regular person can take somebody's car and steal it and do whatever they want with it. But if someone on their own merit is gonna steal your car,
Can bring it back.
why would they bring it back?
They saw the car when they stole it. They knew what kind of car it was. Why they gonna bring it back?
This is not like it was a Mercedes, a BMW back in the day. This was a regular hoopty. Was it what, a Toyota?
A Crusader.
I
Saw
think
it
it
So
was
back.
a
like
Toyota.
who would do
Saw
that?
it
Yeah,
back.
yeah.
And this is and these instances that you're giving, I was a child. I remember the specifically the story with the men coming into the house. I actually remember that.
We were
Yeah,
all
it
in the
was
living
I
crazy.
was
room.
about 4 or 5 years
That's
old.
not the
I
type of thing
actually
you'll
remember
forget.
that.
We were terrified. Another example is this was before the day of cell phone. A cell phone was unheard of back then. Um, Someone called, and my grandmother's name, God rest her soul, she was since murdered. Yes, you heard me right. Murdered by the same people who doing all this here. But I don't want to talk about that because I'm gonna get worked up. But they murdered her and took several attempts on my life. Um, through some miracle, I'm still here. But my grandmother's name was Margaret. And this is for the day of iTech. This is back when they had Bell Atlantic and NYNEX. T-Mobile and Sprint and Singular Wireless and all that
So
stuff
we're
was
not there.
unheard of. They had AT&T. So I remember back then we had caller ID and people had beepers. They still have they had pay phones on every corner and you had to use a quarter to use them. Um, so it was that era. There was no iPad and flat screen TV. Everybody had those big box TVs with the long big belly at the back. Um, I'm trying to set
It's a
the
BT.
time frame for you to understand how ridiculous what I'm about to tell you is. There was no computer in every household or laptops. That stuff was not out yet. This was in the 1990 time when if you want to do a paper, you want to do research, you have to go to the public library. People didn't have a computer in your household. So basically, our phone rang and walked over to the caller ID to see who it is. Guess what it's saying? It's grandmother. It's calling my grandmother.
Yes.
How is that
Yes.
possible?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
It says Margaret Leisman is calling Margaret
Margaret
Leisman.
Leeson.
Yes. Then, a couple days before they murdered our grandfather, they call us, walked over to the phone. It's Ice Box.
Icebox.
And the name of the caller, Ice Box.
Box.
That's the name of the caller. and the number is zero 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 zero
Zero
zero
zero
zero
zero
zero
zero
zero zero.
zero zero zero.
Yes.
Yes, that's when they murdered grandfather. How do you explain that? Now, these things are probably easy to do today, but I'm talking about 1999, 2000. Another example. One day the phone rang and dad picked up the phone and the person says, "This is the mob." And he
Mm-hmm.
says, "Oh, this is the mob." And my father's not to that kind of stuff. He's trying to figure out who is the mob? I don't understand. And we're telling him they're mocking you. They're telling you that they are the mob. He said, I don't
Yep.
understand which mob. What mob is that?
Mm.
This I don't want to get into certain things at this time. This started with a specific instant. I I was on the phone with an individual and I said, our phone is acting up before all those bizarre things happened on the phone. That's what I'm telling you about now. I said, this is early 1999, before the craziness started. I said, I'm going to have to call. Um, I think it was already Bell Atlantic at that time. I don't think it was Verizon as yet. It was either NYNEX or Bell Atlantic. I would have to check my journals. I said, I'm going to have to call Bell Atlantic because the phone is acting really crazy. Um, so the person said, well, why don't you call them now? I said, it makes no sense. They don't work on Sundays. If I call them now, it's just going to be me leaving a message that I request that I need service and they won't be able to come now anyway, because that's the way it works. I hung up the phone and I placed the recording for requesting service. And under 1 hour, somebody showed up with the company van, the company uniform, ready to repair the phone. And I said, wait a minute. First of all, those people are not open on Sunday. How come you're here within the hour?
And you gotta make an appointment.
Oh my God.
It's
Jesus
true.
have mercy.
I said to my family, this guy's an imposter. Don't let him in the house. Don't let him touch our phones. Don't let him in here. And at the time, they were like, well, he has the company van and the uniform. How is it possible that he's not going to be from there? Who would give this man the company van and the
Right.
uniform? You need to stop saying that. I said he has the company van and uniform because they're all in it together. That doesn't mean anything. And at the time, because they had no context, we were of the persuasion that something like
That
that is
people were
not
honest.
possible.
Yep, that people were being honest.
We didn't know that something like that is possible, that there's a separate society within the society that is just going around terrorizing people in secret and trying to hide what they're doing and trying to make the people look like they're lunatics when they're talking about it. So because they had no reference, we just see the US government as the good guys on CNN because they always hide their stuff, which is why it has not been heard. It's not because it's not happening, because they make sure they're always stealing your videos, keeping you unemployed or underemployed, or like they're trying to evict me right now. Yes, to make sure that I'm displaced and killed and blame it on the coronavirus so that they never have to answer for their war crimes. But I'm going back to the story. They didn't believe me, my family, and they let this guy in the house. And I'm saying, no, you gotta don't let him in. There's no way. I just placed that call. It's not even a full hour. There's no way. Came
Then
in
the
the
whole
house. I said,
family.
sir, Now, you tell me what sounds normal about what I just said. Who calls the phone company back in 1999 on a Sunday when they're closed? And I'm not saying they're closed. The automated system is saying we're not open. Somebody's going to get back to you on Monday. And then this guy just shows up with the company uniform and the van. It's stuff like this. It's stuff like me receiving a ticket that says no justice on it.
I
They're just
saw that.
mocking us. It's
It just
stuff
said
like me
no
applying for a
justice.
job and being told that I do not qualify for the job on the basis of my being convicted of a felony on my birth date. Not birthday, the day I was born.
She said it herself.
These people placed so many fake stuff on my name, on my credit. They've ruined my credit report. I fought for years, all kinds of stuff for thousands of dollars on my credit that I don't know about. All kind, any area of our lives that they can sabotage, they've sabotaged. Complete full spectrum dominance and saturation. Now you tell me, how's that a civilian? Do you understand how many branches of government you have to go through in order to have full access of somebody's life for 2 decades? It's the government. But what they're trying to do now is trying to cover up what they've done to us and make it look like we're a bunch of lunatics because they cannot justify it legally or morally. So they're hoping that I will die. So once again, they're trying to put me outside. They took away 2 apartments from me and my car and over 20 something jobs. Yeah, they show up at work too and spread libel and slander and completely control the entire experience at work. These people literally tell other people to torment you at work. How is that not gang stalking though? Yes. So basically I'm gonna talk about this for a second. I have an agreement with my landlord. US government took away my source of income almost 10 years ago. Since then I've submitted thousands of job applications. I have 2 degrees behind my name and I'm working on the third. In fact, my class is about to start on this coming Monday for my third degree. I have all kinds of credentials behind my name. Why I can't find a job? The US government does not want me employed because keeping me poor, they can drag me around by the nose. I don't have the means to properly defend and protect myself. That's what it is. And I'm not the only target when it comes to their economic pauperization. So after keeping me unemployed for 10 years almost, sabotage every job application. Sometimes I would start a job. Oh, don't get me started on the computer hacking. All of our technologies are bugged. Our cell phone, our computers, our television. Oh, yeah. Complete full spectrum dominance with no legal justification. And this is before 9/11. So if you want to say, well, since 9/11, they have changed a lot of the civil rights norms and whatever, as if that somehow makes it right. The Constitution is very clear on what should be and what should not be. You can't have a special class of people that cannot be questioned. That's not constitutional. Who signs up for that? We give up our country citizenship because we like what democracy had to offer, and this is not it. We have a right to hear the charges against us. If we are found innocent, we should be left alone. If we are found guilty, we should be treated accordingly. But to pulverize us, prevent us from progressing, prevent us from earning a living, prevent trying to evict us, really? Took away 2 apartments from me already and my car, preventing me from starting a business. I am licensed as a business owner in the state of Maryland, and I've been trying to launch my business. If I tell you the amount of sabotage that I've had to deal with, I've been awake for so many months. It's an outrage. because I have to work 10 times harder, 1,000 times harder just to be in the same place. Because of the advent of the pandemic, um, it has become harder for the average person to find work. But I am not a victim of that statistic. It has nothing to do with me. Long before the pandemic started, the US government has been making sure that I remain poor. These people hack into our bank accounts, steal money out of our accounts. There are instances where they went into mom's account and took out $420.
Yeah,
Instances
for
where they
for
went
just 460.
took 460 out of mom's account. I've lost track how many times they've stolen money out of my account. They change our transaction history after they've stolen money so that it reflects as though no money has been removed. And you know what money you had. You can argue until your mouth fall off. They're not putting it back. They're actually stealing money out of our bank accounts on top of keeping us unemployed. So I've been trying to launch my business since September of last year so that I can contribute to my own survival. And the US government employed a whole bunch of lunatic computer hackers
Hackers.
that they've been deleting my website, deleting pages from my website, sabotaging my orders. I would order a size 2, they would send me a size 10. They would break things before they send it to me, you name it. I've been waiting on my trader's license, which a voice on the phone, and oh, all of our phone calls are directed to a switchboard that is at a location where these demons are. None of our phone calls are reaching the intended parties. They're
Excuse me,
taking our
Marshall. And
calls.
despite who you
Yes,
call, if you call the phone company, the gas company is the same voice you're hearing speaking to you every time.
yes, yes, yes. You got the same voice answering for Citibank, the same voice is answering for T-Mobile, the same voice is answering for Comcast, the same voice is answering for Washington Gas. They familiarize themselves with all these companies' way of processing and so we're in an open prison. They set the price of our bills. Listen, I've had to walk the length and breadth of my entire property. I live in an apartment because there was one instant where my bill for water was $92. And I'm saying to myself, how could I be paying $92 for water alone? And I'm in an apartment. That's a little high. So I was talking about it, and while I was at the rental office, I was talking to somebody about it on the phone because I went down there to find out why my bill is $92. And this lady said, $92? What do you mean? She said, I have a two-bedroom and my bill is $32 every month. And she started explaining how many people lives in her house. Yes. Then there was another instant where they cut off my lights for 4 months. They claimed that I owe $1,000. When you examine the rate that they're charging me at, I walked the entire property again. I did not even know that this property has duplexes, and that's the apartment where there's upper level and a lower level. They have 3 bedrooms. I found out so much in doing that documentary. I had people bring out their electric bill. People are so kind. People brought out their electric bill to show me that I'm being overcharged. They said, "Oh, there's no way." Do you understand how many flat screen TVs I have in my house and they never get turned off? Why is your bill so high? It's only you in there and your husband. How in the world could you be paying that kind of money? Everyone is in complete shock. Some people had 5 people in their homes. Some people had as much as 8 people in their homes. Some of them had 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, duplexes. Everybody's saying the same thing. There's no way that bill is normal. You need to have it investigated. So after they cut off the light, I requested to have and somebody come out and check the meter because I said something is wrong. There's no way. So somebody came out. So they say. Not really. The person came to the parking lot. We were downstairs waiting on them. We saw them come. The man touched the parking lot and just sped off. He never came out the car. I have this on tape, by the way. He never came out the car. He never came out the car. He just came in the parking lot, turned his car around, and just left and said, "Well, we already came and nobody tried to facilitate the process of letting us into the place. So we left." Then another time they claimed that somebody came out. All these people are actors. They're all fake because the objective was to turn off the light and use it as grounds to have me put outside. But thank God I used wisdom, and they didn't get the outcome that they wanted. If I tell you the amount of harassment that I endure living here, they have people banging on my ceiling all hours of day and night, 24/7 from downstairs. I'm on the third floor. I'm on the highest level in this building. They have people banging on the bathroom wall. There was one instant that the banging was so severe they literally knocked items off of my closet shelf. Things fell down. I'm constantly having to readjust the clock on the wall. Sometimes it falls off. That's how much they're kicking the wall, banging the wall 24/7, and there's nothing I can do about it. And it's not just this place. You might say, well, that place, maybe they're a little crazy. Every place I have moved to, what they try to do is to get me to relocate at the end of every lease. They make the property start making a lot of, they're hiding behind the property, the government. It is not the property that must be emphasized. It's not the property. There's no way all these properties are having these issues. There's no way every place I've ever lived, somebody's always banging on the wall, making all this ruckus all hours of night. There's no way. So they're banging on any direction that there's neighbors, they put their people to live there. And the banging and the loud noise and sudden startling sounds 24/7, 365. Then, of course, there's the chemical fumes that they have coming in through the vent. Okay? Sometimes you would be in the house and all of a sudden your head starts turning and you feel lightheaded and dizzy. And um, you got to go outside and get some air. I don't know what kind of toxin they have that they're releasing into the atmosphere. There was one instant that they had a chemical scent coming in the apartment. It was so severe that we literally took some heavy duty trash bags and just taped off the bathroom and bedroom and we stopped using those rooms completely. It was that bad. The bathroom and the bedroom was in the back of the house. We had to tape it off to keep the scent back there, and we could still smell it. We were wearing masks in the house, and we had to keep the balcony door open 24/7 as long as somebody was in the house. And this was in January, and we still have to keep the It started in September of that year because the lease was about to expire. And this is what they do when the lease is about to expire. They start stuff to force you to relocate. The objective is not to get me to relocate, though. They want me homeless. So if that's not going to work, at least force me to have to start over. I'm always starting over. You can never get an opportunity to put down roots. If I tell you how many times the U.S. government has had me relocate, it's a
Much.
miracle that, yeah. Yeah, so the chemical scent apartment that I'm describing got so severe that my family literally traveled 250 miles to come experience it for themselves because I called the fire department and of course they sent an imposter. And the man came and said the only thing he smells in the house is potpourri. Meanwhile, I had a bunch of people, random people coming in the house to say, "Can you please? I'm documenting this on tape. What do you smell in my apartment?" I had one lady come to the front door. The lady said, "No way, I'm not going in there. I don't know what you have in your house, lady, but that scent is not going to work for my lungs." And she just left. It was that bad. Some people said it smelled like some kind of a mixture of bleach and we have this thing in my country. I can't remember the name of it, but it was the kind of scent that it was abrasive to your senses, to your eyes and your nose. It's not the type of scent that is just bad. Some things are so strong that it burns your eyes and nose. It was one of those kind of things. Somehow they put it into the atmosphere, and we couldn't take it. They were trying to get us to move. Another example. This is a different location now. I moved to a different place because if you think it's just that place, um, I remember I was living in Hyattsville, and they came into my apartment. It stole a whole bunch of my belongings. They claim that they came into the apartment because um, they found out that there was a raccoon in my apartment. Now, if I'm not at home, how did you ascertain that there's a raccoon in my apartment that caused you to go into my apartment and into my closet and left a big old metal trap to say it's from the Department of Animal Control in case the raccoon comes back, and put a slice of bread for in case he comes back? There was no raccoon. They went in there and cleared out a whole bunch of evidence that I had accumulated. Another time they poured water down from, that's when I didn't figure out yet that I cannot live with anyone above me if I want to keep my sanity with all this banging on the wall. They poured down water exactly where I used to use my laptop and just fried the computer, destroy all my data. Go ahead, Natoya.
Um, I was just gonna say that these stories are countless. They are really just countless stories, and they're all ridiculous. They should not have happened in the first place. Nobody should not have to live their life to the point where they have a library full of instances that are similar and outlandish, preposterous even. I think that, you know, as human beings, we all come here to live life and experience life to its fullest. And you can't have any type of joy or happiness when this is your life day in, day out, 24/7.
2 decades.
You know, even with this court case that's going on now with them trying to kick you out of the apartment for no reason, is there are no words.
Marsha, could you excuse me? Sorry. Talk about court cases, and we can leave the other stuff for another time because it's
Yeah,
endless.
we can be here for a whole month
Yeah.
with the stories, all the many, many stories. They cut off the water when they feel like it, cut off the light when they feel like it, try to disrupt me from finishing my degree, try to prevent me from getting a driver's license, you name it. The stories are endless. I would need to sit down and really organize my thoughts, not my thoughts, the stories, because it's hard talking about this stuff because it's a re-victimization of sort, because you want to just tell your story and let it flow out of you, but you have to be ever mindful of the fact the average person is not prepared for this because they believe that the government is saying that they're good guys. So you have to be selective, like, can people handle this much truth? Will they turn away? Will they think that you're a lunatic? And that's a double victimization, because it's not fair that a victim has to cherry pick what they can and cannot say because they're not sure how it will be received. It's so unfair. Yeah, but I'm inclined to believe it's the gang stalkers, and they're about to be exposed because we're done playing with these people. I signed an agreement with my landlord on December 15th, and I'm going to read it because I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to read the agreement. It's English, very plain, very clear. And I need my glasses to read this. The agreement says residents agree to pay $6,000 in certified funds on 12/15/2020 towards unpaid rent balance. Resident also agrees to pay 1,500 each month in certified funds no later than the first of every month until past due balance is paid in full. As a result, landlord will not move forward with eviction. Now, okay, let me finish. If payments are not made as agreed, landlord will have the right to move forward with any and all pending evictions without any further notice. This agreement does not nullify the current month-to-month lease agreements and all rights therein. That's the entire letter. Now, we've kept our end of the agreement. We made the $6,000 payment, and we've been paying the $1,500 payment faithfully. And the courts were closed uh, since back in November here in Maryland. They just opened up on March 15th. Since then, I've been sent 6 court notices. 6, the number after 5. Even though we signed an agreement that clearly says that they're not going to take us to court. But those few examples I gave of some bizarre things that happened at apartments, it's not the landlord. It's the same people. They're trying to take away my apartment again. They're trying to put me outside. Now, one of the court case was for April 5th. I showed up, even though they said the court case had been dismissed. And I heard my name, Marsha Richards, called in open court, which meant that my name was still on the docket. It should have been removed because the amount that they were suing me for had already been paid. And the agreement clearly says that they're not supposed to take me to court anyway. The name of this property is Fairland Crossing. Not that it's relevant, because as I stated, it's not the landlord. But they need to be put on blast too, because they're condoning this illegality under their name. This is the third time they've changed their name
That's
since I've been here. Yes, the US government, when they commit enough war crimes, what they do is swoop in and just change the entire management and start over. So even though we've just been here for what, 3 years and change, they've already had 3 different name changes, 3 different
Right.
complete change of the staff. That's what they do. Everybody got fired, not fired, replaced. Say, okay, there's no more life left in this team. They've been exposed at nauseum. Replace everybody and change the name. They've done that 3 times since I've lived here, from since 2017 to now. So the they took us to court on the 5th of April, and I heard my name called in court, and then the attorney says dismissed. They schedule another court case, April 13th. May 5th, May 6th, May 12th, May 19th, and April 28th. I forgot April 28th. So it's April 5th, April 13th, April 28th, May 5th, May 6th, May 12th, May 19th. And these people signed an agreement that says they're not take me if I pay $6,000 down and 1,500 thereafter. I went to court last week, not last week, on the 13th. I've been sick since. I'm running a fever off and on. I don't know by what means these people have made me sick so many times. There have been times where for years I had to be on albuterol, and I'm not asthmatic because my lung capacity is so severely diminished that they continue to put toxins in my environment. Sometimes all kinds of stuff breaks out on my skin. They've been targeting my hair, uh, my whole body. It's just fair game for them to do experiments like they did with Henrietta Lacks or Sarah Barton from England. So I went to court on the 13th of April, and I was waiting for the judge to say the case is dismissed, and he didn't. Mind you, even the court is fake, and we were able to prove this. They
Remember they
bring
told you that,
in
that they told you that it's going to be dismissed. That the landlord, told you that it was going to be dismissed, and you weren't supposed
They
to, that you
said
was
that the
not supposed
case
to go
is
to court.
dismissed. They said that the case is dismissed, that they told the attorney to dismiss it, and they do not understand why he still proceeded with the matter to court. That's what the property manager said to me after the fact when I said, "What is going on here?" She said, "We told that man to dismiss that case. We're going to contact him. We don't know what is going on." Um, when my name was called in open court on the 13th of April, and I paused a little bit to see what would happen next. Is the attorney going to say the case is canceled? I realized he was about to litigate the matter, and I had to register my presence. I said, "I'm here, and I have proof that that bill is paid, and that I have an agreement that bars them from doing exactly this." So the idiot that they have pretending to be the attorney, I started to say that the entire court process is fake, by the way, and we proved this back early as 2006 when they had an entire kangaroo court rented out with fake people and actors in there. I had witnesses. Everybody was there and saw the shenanigans that was going on in there. It's not real. Um, so they had the fake judge, the fake attorney, the fake people pretending to be defendants, going through the facade to make it look like it's legitimate. But they're not gonna have a random person rule on a case where they can be implicated for war crimes, because attempting to displace me in the middle of a pandemic, knowing full well that I have nowhere to go, it's an outrage against conscience. I'm echoing. Um, so the judge asked, "Can you please?" I'm echoing. The judge asked, "Do you want me to read the document that you signed?" I said, "Yes, thank you." He reads the paper and then he says, "I am not violating the agreement." Therefore, he doesn't understand why I'm being taken to court, but that was just an act. Because right after he said that, he agreed to have the case continued to May 12th. Now, if you've just said this lady complied with the agreement, why would you then tell them, "Okay, we'll just continue it on May 12th instead of dismissing the case"? Because they're all in cahoots. The man is on public record saying that I did not violate the agreement, and then he still continues the case by putting all these court dates together in a cluster. They're hoping some way, somehow, to get me displaced. Meanwhile, I'm applying for the COVID-19 relief funds, rental assistance. I've applied for assistance everywhere. So many different organizations, and the US government is intercepting all of them, calling the people and telling them to stall. I've had one instance where they contacted me and said, "Oh, you have to prove that you live in Montgomery County, Maryland." One of them saying that you live in New York. We don't know what you're talking about. I'm calling hundreds of phone calls. None of these people are answering. The people are in their third rental relief attempt since the coronavirus, and I have been kept poor, so I am qualified. They're trying to make sure that no one cannot assist me with rent. They're sabotaging all of the attempts. Now, I've had my sisters on the phone, I've had my mother on the phone. After fighting so hard to get some kind of a rental assistance, I was finally able to get this one on the phone on, I think that was April 8th or 9th. He said his name is Evan Timberlake, and he's going to be my caseworker. And this guy is so clearly an imposter, he can't even hide it if he tried. The man, I spoke to the guy on a Thursday. I said, "Sir, I submitted my application for rental assistance in September of last year. We're now in April, and I have a court case coming up on the 13th of April." He said, "It's okay, Miss Richards. I'm going to take care of everything. I'm going to get you money to pay some money to pay down your balance before the 13th. Do you know, this man asked me to send my rent ledger, to send my driver's license, and the court date. I sent it to him by email. I called that man 16 times from that Thursday until Monday. The man did not answer me one time. I kept calling him all day Tuesday, leaving this man messages. on the phone number that he texted from my phone. If you could see my phone, the text message is in my phone with his phone number and email, how I should contact him. 16 messages. I'm calling him to make sure that he receives the information. He received the information that he said he needed to process a check to prevent me from having to go to court. Do you know, on the day of the court, which is the Tuesday, I'm supposed to be in court at 1:30 p.m. I'm calling. I went up to the social service department because he told me to go there on the Tuesday morning to pick up a check. I show up at the social service department. I'm still calling this man. He's not answering me. Now, hear this bizarre story that I'm about to tell you. I show up at the Department of Social Service, and they have a door, an outer door, and then there's an inner door with a little lobby area. I come into the door, into the lobby area, and I said, I'm tapping on the door, and no, no. As I'm coming in, a lady's coming out, and she said something to me, and I didn't hear what she said. So I said, "What did you say? I didn't hear you." The lady looks at me like I'm invisible for a couple seconds, walks back into the building, and proceeded to make fun of me. She's laughing and telling, I can hear her, even though the door is closed. You can't go in unless they let you in. She's saying I'm an idiot. I don't know how to read English. I'm a fool. And I'm hearing all this and I'm saying, what did I walk into today? So, oh my God, here we go. The actors are coming out of the woodworks. Now they're doing all of this to get me rattled and for me to get fed up and leave because they don't want to give me the check because I'm about to go to court and they want me to go empty handed because they fully intended to evict me. So I stood out there for almost 3 hours. Nobody's letting me in the building. I'm tapping on the door every now and then. They're looking at me and just walking past. But there was a lady there, an African American lady who was sitting on this chair. She was the only person, the only I guess customer. She comes out and I say, can you hold the door for me to go in? The lady says, no, I can't hold the door for you because you need an appointment to go in there. So I said, I do have an appointment. Evan Timberlake, my caseworker, said the last thing he said to me on Thursday is to go and pick up a check today. And that's why I'm here. She said, oh, you have an appointment? I said, yes, I have 6 court dates and I'm about to go to court now. I have this thing recorded. All this that I'm saying is recorded. Some of it is on Facebook Live. If you go on my Facebook is a documentary of some of the bizarre things that has been happening to me, by the way. It's not just me telling my story. I show you what's happening to me on Facebook. I show you what's happening to me on YouTube. So you don't have to speculate. I wish it was so that when I'm saying something, I could just pull up the video of the bizarre encounter immediately and you could see it. But they take pride in that, knowing that I have thousands of videos. So when I'm referencing a video, you have to go looking for a needle in a haystack. So because of that, you would have somebody tell you something in one phone call and they put you on hold and come back and tell you something completely different. I record all my calls. They don't care because they know that the sheer volume is gonna give them enough time to steal it and deny the whole thing ever happened. So anyway, um, the caseworker never put in his attendance, never answered me from since the Thursday. We're now on Tuesday, and I'm literally about 1 hour away from having to go to court to be evicted. And I'm still waiting on this check so that I can have a check when I go to court to say something in my defense on top of having the agreement that I signed. Do you know, while I'm at the counter, because they finally let me in now, the lady already told me that was exiting the building, the customer. She said they're in there talking about you, they're laughing at you. The lady's laughing and making fun of you, and she's saying you're an idiot and all this other stuff. I said, I know. I can hear the whole thing from out here. I knew she was talking about me. So, and this lady works there. Please understand, this is a government employee, supposedly. She's an actor. They've already called the Department of Social Service. This is what they do and spread all kinds of slander about me and tell the people to participate. Now, this is the part that is going to cause a lot of people to think that's not possible. This is what they do. It doesn't matter where you're going. It could be to court, to social service, to look for a job. They tell people to do stuff like this to you. So because I didn't go away, I'm outside standing for almost 3 hours because I need this check. I'm entitled to it. It's not my fault that they're telling all these social organizations not to assist me. It's not my fault that they're sabotaging my business to prevent me from being independent. It is not my fault that they're sabotaging all my job applications. I have a right to exist. They're violating my human right when they're stopping me from being able to pay a bill that I don't know I'm supposed to pay if you're blocking me from earning a living anyway. So when I get to the counter, the lady says, "Ma'am, I don't see your name here. I don't know. There's no check for you." I said, "How is that possible?" That man named Evan Timberlake who called me on April 8th said to come here. Well, when last did you speak to him? I said I left 16 messages since the last time we spoke. Do you know while I'm standing there, this guy calls me? After I've been calling him since the Thursday, 16 messages. Now I'm at the window being told there's no check for me. Magically, he just calls me right when I'm at the window. Oh, I never got any of your phone calls, ma'am, because you must have called the wrong number. I said, excuse me? Do you understand that your voice is on there saying this is Evan Timberlake when I leave the messages? I record all the messages I left you. The man said, "Well, you must have sent it to a wrong. I don't know. I just don't know. But I didn't get any messages. Which number did you dial?" The same number you text on my phone, sir. When I read it back, well, I don't know. I don't know. I said, "What about the email I sent you with the documents?" I never got any documents. So I didn't cut the check. I said, "What are you saying?" I took out my iPhone now and I'm showing the lady. I said, "Ma'am, look, here's the email." I said, "Is this your email?" I read back, "Yes, my email." So by now the lady is in complete sync with what he's saying because they've all been indoctrinated to make sure I don't walk out with this check. Ma'am, maybe you sent it to the wrong address. Either I show her on the phone. Look, isn't this his email address? Yes. Well, it's not very clear. I can't see clearly. I said, "Lady, what are you trying to do? It's right here." Then she said, "Yeah, I see it." And my family's on the phone. They were on the phone when I spoke to the guy. And now he's on the phone saying he didn't get none of the stuff I sent. I've now produced proof that I sent it. And he says, "You've been calling the wrong number," even though it's his voice on the voicemail saying, "This is Evan Timberlake." You see what I'm talking about? I had to
Yes,
walk out and go to court without a check, and they were open to evict me. I pulled out the document, showed it to the judge. I have an agreement that I signed on December 12th, 15th, that prevents the landlord from doing exactly this. The judge agrees with me, but still continues the case for May 12th. They want to take another stab at it because the objective is to make sure that I'm displaced. Can you imagine this? It's an outrage. We don't have no opportunity for redress. We don't have any recourse. We have no legal rights that these people respect. They do with us as they please, and there's no consequence. So we're having a completely different experience. Hello? Okay, someone just called me. Yes, so that's what's going on. I have to go back to court this Wednesday, and they're going to try to put me outside again, even though the agreement says they're not supposed to take me to court. And the rent that they're taking me to court for has already been paid. But if I opt not to go because I'm having a fever and they check your temperature before you enter the building, which means they won't let me in the building anyway, then I get a default judgment. And if you get two of those in a row, the third one, you get a no right of redemption, which means that you can just be evicted. Yeah, so that's what's going on. It's really hard for me to talk about this stuff because it's not fair. But I'm gonna wrap it up for now. We're gonna be speaking a lot. We're gonna be speaking out about what's happening to us because for the U.S. government to pauperize us and brutalize us and psychologically maim us, slander, our names and blacklist us and just do all kinds of war crimes and medical experimentation, technological warfare, energy weapons assault, try to stop our hearts. We're having the same symptoms even though we're 200 miles apart simultaneously. They're targeting us. They're targeting our um what's the word I'm reaching for? They're using energy weapons on us. Now, if you think something like this is impossible, go look up Governor Jesse Ventura. That was the governor of Texas. He is the one that made us realize how far technology has gone. They can stop your heart without being in the room with you with their energy weapons. Now, this is something that I have to emphasize. Do not be lazy. There's Google out there. When someone says something that's outlandish, Google it. Don't just assume that they're talking nonsense. Okay? Um, Google it. Okay? So you can go and see for yourself that it's possible to stop somebody's heart or do any of this kind of stuff um, using technology. Okay? So we need help. We need to get the word out about what's happening to our family. We have just started a YouTube channel. It's called Until Justice. It's Until Justice, right? Hello?
Yeah, yeah. Until justice prevails.
Okay. Let Natoya tell you about that because it took me a while to get started, but now I'm talking a lot. So let Natoya, can you please tell them about Until Justice?
Yes, it's our YouTube channel. Oh, sorry.
That's me. Okay.
Sorry about that. It is our YouTube channel that we just started. Um, it's called Until Justice Prevails. We're just basically going to be speaking about, excuse me, I'm sorry. Speaking about things that has transpired between us, between this family and to this family. Um, it's just going to be, us going into further details about the things that has happened to us throughout the years, and just going into deeper details. That's just really, the purpose of this whole thing is us trying
to let the
to get
world know
the
what
world
is
to understand and know
what we're going
what's
through.
been going on in our lives for the past 20 something years.
And also to bring an end to
And to
it.
bring an absolute end to it,
Right.
because, like I said, the instance that you used about the guy coming into the house, like I said, I remember that actually happening. I couldn't be no older than 5, anywhere between 4 and 5 years old. I'm 26. That's alarming. So many opportunities have been, robbed. We have been robbed of so many different opportunities. Um, we're not the average people. We can't go out and just say we're going to live our life and do whatever we want to do. And us, putting ourselves out there and saying that, we're going to have a YouTube channel and talk about the things that has happened to us, the things that are still happening to us right now. It's our way of trying to save ourselves, basically. So,
Tell me, how do you feel about this as an American? How do you feel this as an American and as an American that this is being done to in America?
I have no hope for this country. Like, that's
I,
just
I mean, as
sorry.
opposed to it
There is no
being
other
in
words
North
for me to
Korea or
say.
something.
I have no hope for this country at all. Like, I talk
For
to
black people anywhere.
I talk to my friends, and you know, some of them, a few friends know what's going on, and they're in disbelief. But the other ones that don't know, they live their life as normal. If they want to pick up and go have a trip, you know, or they want to change jobs or something, or they're like, today I'm just gonna look the wind and say I'm gonna go here or go there. They don't have a driving force behind them, like a dark cloud or something trailing behind them. They can pick up and do whatever it is that they want to do with their families. They can just live. They can just basically live their lives and do whatever it is that they want to do. We have not ever had that experience. I cannot think of a time in my entire life of when this situation wasn't the situation, because like I said, 4 or 5 years old, these were things that I was seeing. Anything before that, obviously I was a toddler, I didn't know. So me having a normal life, I don't know what that is. Me experiencing what a normal 26-year-old would experience, I don't know what that is. Even at work, like, I know, you know, things were planted and things were done on purpose. So, like I said, to further my point, I have no faith, no trust in America. And it's actually really sad to say, like, I was born here. I was the first child that mommy had when when you guys came to this country. You know, when you migrate and come to another country to make your life better, you hope that your life will go a certain way. You envision, I'm going to live my life this way. I'm going to try my best to make a good amount of money to allow my family to live better than we were living before. And we're going to, do all these great things. And then to come here, have a child, then have another child, and then have everything stripped away from you like that, and have to watch your children suffer, have to experience things as yourself. It's difficult.
without explanation
Without
or
an explanation.
context.
It is very difficult, and it's heartrending, because as a parent, I'm not a parent yet, but as a parent, I can only imagine how mommy and daddy feel having to watch you experience the things that you experience, watch us experience things, and then them themselves having to go through things too.
One
Everybody's
example I want to give
experience
quickly
on in
before I
this
forget.
entire thing is on a different level, right? But it's all the same thing that we're going through, right? And for me, like I said, I have there is no, it's actually shameful, to be honest. That's really what the word is.
Let me just
It
say,
is.
let me say one thing before I ask Casey a question. We can still talk. I don't have anywhere to be. We can still talk, but I want to say this before I lose it. It's a miracle that I'm in my right mind after 2 decades of this. You see these beautiful faces on the screen? These people have kept me sane. You see that lady that's sleeping in the background? The US government owes her a debt of gratitude that is so huge, because that lady has been my backbone, my rock, my everything, my therapist, my counselor, my encourager, you name it, my everything. Because without her, I would be completely mad. Because for the US government to saddle somebody's mental health with this kind of prolonged abuse, which is what it is, and with the expectation that somehow that what other expectation could there have been other than to drive me to insanity so that they can justify institutionalize me. But for that woman that you see can hardly stay awake back there, she's been carrying the weight of the world. Every time I'm in distress, they're banging at the door at 11 p.m. at night. I was held at gunpoint for 12 minutes.
Don't talk about
That
that
woman
now.
is,
Leave that.
huh?
Leave that time. I'm writing it down right now to remember. Don't talk about a gun story right now.
She's writing down
I'm right now. I'm writing it down. I'm trying to remember some stuff off of my head.
7 bullets
Another
fired
time.
at me. You want? I'm going to tell you what. They came to my house. They sent 2 police officers to my house, turned me upside down over the couch for no reason. Put a cloth over my head. I can't breathe. That's about 10 years ago. Put this cloth over my head. I can't breathe, and the man would not take his hand off my nose. I didn't have no context what's happening. So I knocked on the door. I thought it was my dad. And I was still young and naive. I opened the door and he just rushed me and tackled me straight over the couch. Now I'm upside down and there's this clot on my head and his hand right here. I can't breathe. And I'm not dressed, mind you. I just have my underwear on. That's it. And a vest. The vest was a little bit down to my thigh. It's my dad, you know. So I thought it was him. I didn't understand what was happening to me. Then I'm trying to scream to let people know that somebody's trying to murder me or something. I didn't know what was happening. I don't want to talk about this. There was another instant where um 5 police cars showed up to my house.
Aren't
Five
you
police cars.
guys? Please don't talk about it now. I'm writing up. Actually, I'm writing that right now. The smoke detector story.
Yeah.
Children, the smoke detector story you're talking about. You want to talk about? Leave that for another time, Marsha.
Okay. All right. Well, Casey, did you want to say something? Please stay tuned. We're going to be telling our stories until we are heard. There is a lot more to come. You need to understand that Dr. King said injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And that's to be taken literally. If the US government gets away with what they're doing to us, no one is safe because that's going to make them become emboldened. Every human being has a right to human rights without exception. If they can do this to us, they can do this to you. So our business is everybody's business. People have a right to know that the US government has gone rogue, that they no longer have any respect for people's lives, and that they've been doing this to innocent people for 2 decades and they've never once asked why. We have stories for days, and we're going to keep it coming until somebody in authority hears us and address this matter because we need to be compensated. We need to be apologized to. We need to be told why. We need to be made whole. And that's all I'm going to say. Nasandra?
Yeah, I just wanted to. That quote by Dr. King is actually one of my favorite quotes, and I don't, people think see quotes and hear quotes, and they think it's just words, or they get fascinated by how it sounds. But when you really think about what he said, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere.
Everywhere.
And someone asked me a couple of after Dante Brown was murdered, so very recently, someone asked me, "Do you ever think it's gonna get to a place where, equality is gonna happen?" A white person asked me this, and my response to them was, "Well, no, I don't. But even if there was a way for us to get to a place where Black people weren't the target, I believe that there would just be another group of people who the world would decide to hate for no good and founded reason." And to relate it to what Dr. King said, people like to say or think, because people don't really want to say this, they want to be politically correct, but it's not my problem. It doesn't affect me. So it's not something that I have to be concerned about because my family's safe and my family's covered and my family isn't dealing with that. And it's not my reality. And in the context of racism, I think a lot of, people see what is going on, but make a decision that it's not their problem because it does not affect them. And it's a very dangerous way to live because if it can happen to me,
It happened to you.
it can happen to you. You are a person just as I am, having a human experience in a very evil and tumultuous world. So if we could be the targets of this, and we're telling you, immigrant family, law abiding citizens, college graduate, our mom's a reverend, we believe in Jesus Christ, we're Christians, we're sold out to Jesus Christ. So by all standards, we're people doing the right thing. And if we could be doing the right thing, just trying to go to school, get an education, get married, have kids, serve God, and love people, and just be regular, if it could happen to us, then it can very well happen to you. And in terms of the question you asked, Natoya, about How does it feel as an American? I'm a Black woman in the United States of America, and I know my history. So this for me, because I know my history, because I was raised in the kind of family I was raised in, because I was raised with family that taught me beyond what public school education taught me, and because I was raised seeing the things that I have seen because of this situation, I am not even a little bit surprised, but I am thoroughly disgusted. And it is even more disgusting to me how well it's hidden in plain sight, because I don't think the average person has the capacity to imagine that this is reality for some people, but it is hiding in plain sight. There, if you look closely enough, you will see all evidence that points to exactly this. And anybody watching this video, if you are a Christian, if you believe in the Bible, and I think most religions kind of point to this about the morality or the immorality rather of humankind, you know that the Bible tells us about the unimaginable things that are going to happen because of the evilness that is going to take over in a person's heart. And I will tell you to think of that before you make a firm decision on whether or not you believe us. And even further than that, it's frustrating to me to see how blindly people trust in a government made up of other human beings. I know my flaws. I know when I get angry, how I can respond. I know that, even being someone who's a Christian, I can have desires sometimes that are not the best desires. And I'm a person trying to live right. So what about the person who doesn't have a moral compass? What about the person who doesn't have something holding them stable, that this is not the path I should go down? What about the money hungry or power drunk person who doesn't care? And we've all met people like that. But now wonder if that person who doesn't have that moral compass is given unlimited power and access to unlimited resources and money, and they can govern over people. Couldn't they dedicate their entire lives to harming people? And I go back to my experience 3 years ago in Dachau. One man changed the lives of millions of people because of the evil and wickedness in his desire, in his heart. And you would think I would never in a million years do something like that. But I'm a student of sociology and psychology, and I know well enough to know that you can persuade people very easily to do a lot of evil with not a lot of work. So, and I will, and I'm going to end right here and just say, if people feel the need to,
the Milgram experiment.
Huh?
The Milgram experiment. The Milgram experiment, where those authority figures were able to convince those people to shock innocent people.
Right.
And
yeah.
they've done countless experiments to show that.
You can Google it. But what I'm going to say in terms of the government, if you know anything about how Martin Luther King was threatened before his death by the FBI, this is public knowledge. So this is the government admitting this. And then we also know, situations like the Tuskegee syphilis experiment, where you can just openly see the evilness that exists inside of people. Marsha talked about Henrietta Lacks, yes, where you can openly
and Sarah Barton,
things that we would imagine is unfathomable to the human mind. And when we get a chance to see it and read about it and hear about it, it's disgusting to us. But I bring back the Holocaust, and I'll even bring in slavery, and remember that these were people in power with access and resource, idle time, and clearly on the devil's payroll to do things like this. So my thing is, come to terms with the fact that your reality and what you have seen and experienced is not all there is that exists in the world. Open your mind to the fact that the government that that claims in God we trust, they're a body of people with flaws.
and we don't even have to dig that far. Look at Abu Ghraib since post 9/11, where they were rubbing fecal matter on those Arab people over there in the Middle East and
Peeing on them, all
Graham.
this
They were
madness. Jesus
urinating on
God.
them, make all of them naked and put them in a human pile and put they took a razor blade and cut hundreds of cuts on that Ethiopian man's private parts. They put dogs to bite them, connect them to electrical cables. Now, this is the civilized government that some people think is not capable of conducting a longitudinal study, aka a torture fest. This is a psychological snuff film that I'm
Right.
describing what's happening to my family. War
So
crimes,
yeah, that,
they're taking it to a PhD level.
as a black person, as a woman, which is what they will consider a double minority, as a child of immigrants and coming from a family of immigrants, so a triple minority, and all these other things you can add on to my identity. I'm not surprised by I'm not surprised by this. I'm not surprised by the reality of our life because, like I said, I know human history. I know our history. I've studied psychology and sociology. I understand the world is not black and white at all. The world is not black and white at all, and things are not always as they appear. And I believe that when this story breaks, a lot of people are going to have a very, very rude awakening to the reality of the world that we live in. And it's very sad. It's very
And
unfortunate.
it's
But I
not even the
also
whole
think,
world.
no,
We just need to focus on these people that claim they're democracy, and it's a fraud.
but I
Anybody
think
want to talk about
beyond,
Julian Assange?
what do you
Julian
say?
Assange that exposed the killing of those Arab
Yeah,
people over in the Middle
the
East, and they're
whistleblower.
trying to sentence him to 120 years in prison, not for committing a crime, for exposing a crime. Meanwhile, the people who committed the crimes, no one has
Right,
been found guilty or charged. This is the new America
right,
where what we're saying is no longer bizarre. When you're going to openly try to give a man over 100 years in prison, he's not even an American, has never touched foot on American soil. You're going to demand that England keep him in prison for, I think, the past 8 years. He's been hiding in the Ecuadorian embassy to avoid being extradited to be sentenced to 100 and something years in prison because he exposed that the US government murdered innocent civilians that were not firing at them. The man got a hold of the footage. I know you know who Chelsea Manning is. Chelsea Manning is the American military person that sent that video to Julian Assange. He got 30 years in jail, and Obama commuted his sentence. So he came out of jail like the same month that Obama came out of office. Chelsea Manning got released. But Julian Assange is still being threatened with 100 and something years in jail for revealing war crimes that the US government committed. And the people who committed the war crimes, no one has been charged. So this is the new America where anything goes. The US government has rewritten the entire Constitution, replaced it with the Patriot Act, where they can target you, torment you, blacklist you, and there's no grounds or legal precedent upon which you can oppose them or demand answers, because the Constitution says that you're innocent until proven guilty. The US government has to meet the burden of proof before they can terrorize and kill people, and none of that is being adhered to because they've created an entirely different justice system to exclude them from accountability.
It's breaking
So
up.
that's the context that you need to understand, that this is a new America. It's not the one from the 80s and the 90s. Not that that's any reference, but you have to understand the times that we're in when a man's freedom is being threatened with 100 and something years in jail for revealing war crimes, but the war criminals are living comfortably. Meanwhile, we're completely innocent and they're doing everything possible to try to blacklist us. The danger that we're in is, now that they've done all these crimes, we are afraid that they're going to try to fabricate something to justify what they did to us. because it's after the fact they can't justify it. So what are they going to say to justify what's going on here? Yeah, but I always give an example to black people that are participating in what's being done to my family. I got one question to ask you. If you have a pair of shoes that's $1,000 and you only wear it on occasions, once in a while, you wear the shoe because it's so expensive and you're not wealthy. But you have a neighbor that decides that he's going to wear that same shoe. He bought the same thing to do his yard work and take out his trash. Is the value of your $1,000 shoe going to go up or go down? Obviously it's going to go down every single day that our bodies and minds are abused and mutilated psychologically and we're tormented. It reduces the value of every black life on this planet. I don't care what anybody says to me. I'm convinced that if we were Caucasian or another persuasion of race, we would not be mutilated psychologically and brutalized and trafficked. We're being trafficked. It would not happen. I don't care who says otherwise. Black lives do not matter. Not in this country. Not after George Floyd. Not after Trayvon Martin. Not after Freddie Gray. Not after Sandra Bland. No, there's no justice for black people in this country. We've been crying out all kinds of ways, sending letters to all the heads of government. Nobody's telling us why, and we're getting old. So we implore you, please send us your suggestions and just we need ideas of what to do. Mom, you want to speak? Go ahead, Mom.
So that's it. I want to go sleep. I gotta work tomorrow.
Yeah, we can stop talking for
We're
now.
gonna talk again, by the grace of God, because everything that we're saying is the gospel truth. We have no reason to lie or to fabricate no story. Everything is an authentic thing, things that happen to us. So I really want to go sleep, honey. So
Yeah, and you hear that rich Caribbean accent? Hear that rich Caribbean accent? We're descendants of slaves. English is not our original language. And I have to say that for the benefit of anyone who is ignorant of their history. And we're Caribbeans and we're proud of it. We came here with dreams of a better life. And instead, we have been psychologically mutilated and blacklisted and mistreated. And we're asking you to please help us. Stay tuned for additional videos. I think we're starting a TikTok account as well. And it's going to be the same name, Until Justice Prevails, right? Until Justice Prevails. And the email is untiljusticeprevails@gmail.com. Anybody has any other emails that you want to put out there? Yeah, that should be enough for now. Guys, can you put your face on here? So I want to take a screenshot for the main photo for the video. And thank everybody for watching. If you're seeing this after we've already broadcasted it, thank you and God bless you. Keep us in your prayers. And please send us your suggestions. Write your congressman, your congresswoman, broadcast this, share this video on your social media platforms, and let people know democracy is dying behind closed doors. And we want the story heard so that justice can be restored and rule of law. Thank you. Okay, I'm just going to take a photo. Okay, ready? All right. Okay, I got it. Even though mom looked like she was taking a nap on Casey's um on Casey's shoulder. Okay, I'm gonna sign off, guys.
I'm tired.
I know
Bye.
you're tired, mama. Bye bye. Love y'all. Okay. So everyone is signed off. I am Marsha Richards, and I have tons of additional stories to tell about what's been going on with us. I was really emotional in the beginning. Um, This is not an easy story to tell because I'm not one person removed. I'm the one that is mostly targeted. It's extremely painful. But God has kept us, and we believe that it will continue to keep us. Stay tuned, stay with us, and help us to get our freedom back and to expose what's happening to us. Because if they can make this stuff legal, please, I cannot emphasize it enough. No one is safe. We're in a society of laws, and this is lawlessness, and it needs to stop. I'm Marsha. Have a good night.